So if I were to describe myself, well, first, my name's Carrie. Hi. I am an artist and art educator. I'm a mom. I'm a fur mom. I am a traveler. I am a reader. I'm a creative at heart, and I primarily serve self-taught artists in my community space called Artist Strong, and have been teaching for over 20 years now. I taught for 10 years in school systems, and then now it's been over 10 years online, actually, as well. Before I enrolled in AA, I was actually thinking about closing down my business. I had been working on it for pretty much 10 years. And while I had earned money, I had proof that my program got people results. I didn't feel like I knew how to scale. And I'd taken online courses and things, but no one, I felt like, paved me a path to show me how to get to the next step. Nothing seemed to be working, or I didn't really have the awareness and understanding to know what my next step should be. And I was finally at this point where I was like, well, if I'm going to give up, I might as well reach out and do all the things I'm thinking about doing. So I like hiked my prices up for my program to really reflect the value that I was offering. And I think Sunny's video on YouTube or somewhere popped up, and I started noticing her, and I'd seen her and her work years ago and kind of faded from my view. And then she popped back in, and it was just the right time. And I was like, well, I need a path. If I'm going to really do this and, close this business, I want to know that I've tried everything that I can. And I'm tired of having an expensive hobby. I want, or a hobby that pays for itself, I guess, but is expensive in terms of all the time that I put into it. And I want more time for my own personal art. And I have a 4-year-old. I'm a primary caregiver. I want time. I don't want to be spending the time with my daughter thinking about all the work I should be doing. I want to be present in all parts of my life. So I think that kind of covers most of where I was at. I move a lot too, so like my life has been somewhat transitory, and so that's one reason an online space has always been kind of important to me. Is it's something I can take with me. But I really was starting to feel like I need to pare things down in my life, and I'm not sure if Artist Strong was something I could keep. Since enrolling in AA, I feel like I have a clear method to find the right kind of student, the person I truly serve, really understand the nuance of who they are, and enroll them. And my fear previous to AA was I could enroll people, but it felt so piecemeal and so inconsistent. And I wanted something that felt sustainable, that managed the amount of time I had to dedicate to it in my life, and also honored the time and effort I put into my students in the community so that I didn't feel resentful of them getting it at a certain price point because I felt like it was worth more. And AA's really helped me confidently claim the pricing that I have. And I've started to, get enrollments through sales calls from people wanting to invest in themselves and see growth in their art. I would have never tried a sales call before AA. I was doing a lot of webinars previously, and I feel more confident in even the transformation I offer my students. So I think that obviously reflects in the sales calls that I do, and how I present the offer to people who I think are a good fit. So right now I'm running the program to a cohort, and people are really showing up and engaged. And I feel like I'm going to be at a place now where I can start looking at how to build that consistency to get, I basically want to kind of start with a minimum number of enrollments per month so that I really, again, it feels sustainable, not super hustle or stress culture, and really integrates into my life. If I were to talk about tangible results in terms of the things going on in my program, I would say the first thing is I did my ICA calls went pretty easily. I actually got 15 to 20 pretty quickly, and then I basically burned out and took a break. But then I came back in and I just rallied, and I got, like 30, 35 calls, and I learned I am so much even more niche than I was before. Niche, like being niche and specific to the people I serve, was already important to me, but doing those calls added a layer of understanding in my messaging to really pinpoint kind of where they are, where the creatives are in their journey that I serve. And that has led to enrollments on sales calls. So For the 30-day cash flow plan, I had initially had this like grand plan of getting big time sales. And I started my cash flow plan in February. And then my family's been sick for the whole first quarter of the year. So it was like, okay, like again, sustainable, right? Like what's going to work that's measurable and also works for my life. So since I already had about 70 something students enrolled in the program, I opened up the cohort offering to them, the pop, and then I sold it to people. And I only got on like 10 or 11 sales calls, but I had 3 sales. So I had a total of 10 enrollments into the program, some from previous students and these new sales, which are helping me kind of get forward and get ahead so that I can make sure I have those measurable results. And evidence of student work for me is such a wonderful testimonial. And they are the like over half the students are showing up on the weekly calls that I host. And the work that they're already sharing really shows tangible results in terms of the growth of their skill and voice development as artists, which is part of what we work on. If I were talking to someone who was interested in Authority Accelerator, I would be telling them that it's good to let go of preconceived notions of what results are supposed to look like or how you get there, and to be open to new strategies, especially if you are like me, where you've already had a program and strategies of enrollment, that you can actually use AA to iterate and enhance on the program you already have if you're open to the process. And I was initially somewhat, I guess you could say, resistant to how many ICA calls, for example. So it's good to, again, like be open and willing to take in this information and see that it is a process, which is what I needed. I wanted a clear path and plan to serving my community. And I really kind of wish I had known about this and invested in it when I started 10 years ago, even though I don't think it was started yet. I wish I had had something like this because I think the path to sustainable growth would have happened much more quickly for me.